You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu Waifu. Polo and Tell, is that you?
Mic check. Mic check, waifu. Tellionaire, is that you?
Yo, you feeling good right now, ain't you? Because I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling real good. This is episode 119 of Mic Check Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Lube Complex. Make sure you go to lubecomplex.com. Use that offer code Waifu to save on your entire cart. It's also brought to you by Don'tTalkShop.com, as well as the people who bring this podcast to you every single week. And the people that bring this podcast to you every single week is our Patreon producers. They support us over at patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu. I want to give a shout out to AB Aaron Brown, Dre, the GOAT, G Ked, the Pro, Explicitly, Monique Williams, Nachi, Quellian, and Treesus. Thank you so much for producing this and many other episodes of the podcast. We couldn't do this without you and all of our other Patreon supporters. We thank you and love you so very much. It means the everlasting world to us. Today is a very big episode, but first, before we get started on that, I just want to say thank you to everybody that made #MCWW Antagonist #1 a success. It was a lot of fun. We appreciate y'all for joining us and just going off to the pain theme. I didn't realize how many people was going to want to talk, so I heard the pain theme a lot. I started to feel like it started to get a little too much, but I thought it was dope. I thought people enjoyed it. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If y'all did, let us know at Mic Check Waifu on Twitter. Make sure y'all follow us there to join our next Mic Check Waifu Antagonist space. It was a lot of fun. We appreciate it. Tell. Bro, we got a lot to discuss.
For sure.
Today we are reviewing Tokyo Revengers. That's going to come a little bit later, like right before our break. So if you haven't watched all of Tokyo Revengers, I would suggest watching it all and then coming back to this episode, because this episode will be the Tokyo Revengers specific episode. And we get to go use our review scale, which we haven't used in a very long time. Actually, let me make sure I got that pulled up, because we do have the review scale document that we use that kind of like balances everything out for us and get it going. Okay. Oh, look at that. When I Google Mic Check Waifu, we pop up.
Let's go.
See. Google Docs. All right, Tell, before we get started on the review, though, there's a lot we got to discuss, only because this is the quintessential probably end of the summer season, right?
For sure. A lot of stuff ended this week.
Yeah. So talk to me about what was your standout show of the entire season? Standout shows, because it's going to be more than one, obviously, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not very hard for me to pick. Like, Remake Our Life to me was obviously a standout. Polo won this season of the sleeper episodes or sleeper anime. Case Study of Vanitas was a standout for me. Rebuild How Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, standout. Those are probably some of my favorite standouts for this specific season. Tokyo Revengers technically isn't part of this season because it started a little bit earlier, but True. Tokyo Revengers was also really good this season. I feel like it really ramped up and got better towards the end.
That's a fact. Yeah, man, it was so many good shows. Like, if y'all don't know, listen back to our previous episodes. We kind of go through the list of shows that are just spectacular. To just cover a few, though, Remake Our Life is one that we feel that you must watch. Okay, if you're a fan of slice of life, and even if you're not, I do think Remake Our Life is special. It is a joy to watch. I truly do believe that How the Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom is also special. It's a different spin on the isekai take. If you can get past the first episode, because you will automatically assume that it's going to be like every other isekai the way the first episode starts. But trust me when I say it's not. And it's actually a joy to watch. It's a super, super pleasant show to watch. Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy, which is another isekai that is a comedy, like almost parody of isekais and the way they work. Tsukimichi Moonlight Fantasy is something I do feel like is definitely worth a watch for sure. And then obviously Yeah, we already said Remake Our Life. So yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty good summer season, to be honest. And it's a lot more than it should. Like it needs more credit, to be honest.
For sure.
So make sure y'all add
a lot
those
of people
shows.
slept on a lot of stuff.
100%. So make sure y'all add those to y'all list if y'all haven't seen them. You know what I'm saying? Because I promise you won't be disappointed. If you are, I'm sorry. I let you down. Yeah, man. I think what was the episode of this week for you though?
It's hard because I don't think I really liked how the Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom's final episode. I don't think it was really that impactful. My Hero Academia's final episode was mad average to me. But Remake Our Life, I feel like it hit everything I wanted this episode. Battle Game in 5 seconds. This not technically the final episode because the final episode airs tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this recent episode was pretty good, but nothing stood out as much as like not Battle Game, as Remake Our Life. Remake Our Life to me just had the best episode finale. It hit everything I wanted and then left us with the cliffhanger, which really feels like we might be getting a season 2.
Yes, which that is what got me. I'm like, yes, we are getting a season 2. That's what I wanted, man. How were you upset? Were you as upset as I was when you with the ending? No, like I won't say I was upset.
There's a specific thing I'm upset for, and I'm pretty sure we'll talk about it in spoilers. But there's only really one thing I'm upset about with how this final episode went, and it's more about like who he had to say goodbye to, because that means that he's set in his mind that that's not going to happen again.
Exactly right.
And we talked about this, and that kind of broke my heart a little bit. But I'm excited to see what he does now, because whatever the season 2 is, this anime's been entirely too good, entirely too slept on. Easily top 5 worthy, top 10 worthy.
100%. Top 5 worthy.
I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be in my top 10 or top 5, but I might slide it in there depending on how I look at my list again.
Let me clarify. I'm not going to say it's of its genre, right?
Yes.
For sure, of its genre, it's like top 5, like slice of life.
We not reviewing this anime specifically because we'll like I said, we'll go into more details. But this episode had some of the best music of the entire season. It was just more about the placement in this episode that was just like on point. And the placement has never been bad in this anime, but this specific episode just had the placement really on point. Like it felt really impactful, and every like auditory moment sounds really, really good. It already looked really good. In this episode, you can tell they put the production value up a little bit too. I
totally agree. I totally 100% agree with that. And like with animation too, right? Like the animation was even pretty quality.
There was the one part where we might. I don't want to spoil it. But there was the one part at the end when he goes outside, and I looked at the background. And that background had like the focal blur from like a DSLR camera with him in the foreground. And it just looked very well drawn. Like this almost looked like movie quality in that scene specifically. I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Oh, you're right.
They really showing out for us on this final episode.
You're right. They spent who turned on the animation, right?
Right.
They turned that shit up for sure. Yeah, like I said about Tsukimichi, I think everybody should watch that shit. That's also getting a season 2. Like everything is getting a continuation.
Moonlit Fantasy?
Yeah, Moonlit Fantasy.
Yeah, I saw that it was getting a season 2. That final episode was.
It's so good. It was so good though. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it a lot. Do you feel like? What do you think? What do you think the impact this summer season is going to have compared to? This is kind of unfair, but compared to fall.
The summer season. Well, the nice thing about the fall is that it's bringing back some things that we really cared about, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have Demon Slayer, 86 Part 2, Jobless Reincarnation.
Right.
So there's some stuff I think that can really, really put us over the top, because this anime year, like this year for anime, obviously I think much better than we expected. And obviously there's gonna always be good stuff pop out, But there was a lot of good stuff in the spring season that I feel like went unrecognized. There was some good stuff this season that went unrecognized. And next season, I feel like it's caught on by now, or some of it has caught on by now to the point that where it's going to really stand out. And then you also have Demon Slayer on top of that, so people are really be tuned into what's coming out this season.
Hold on real quick. I think this season, what is it, summer? Fall? I think this fall season is considered like the comeback season. Yeah. I don't know if the new shit is gonna come close to the new shit we got in the summer. I could be wrong. Like there's a lot of new shit coming too, but this just might be the comeback season this fall coming up. So hard to tell. Hard to even say, you know? Hard to even say. Let's see, yo. I mean, I guess we can just get right to the meat and potatoes of the show then, shall we?
Okay, we gonna jump right into the review.
You want to jump right into let's jump right into the review. This will contain some spoilers of Tokyo Revengers season 1. So the 24 episodes of Tokyo Revengers, this will have those spoilers in it. So if you haven't watched it, turn off this podcast and make sure you bookmark it. Come back later and then learn what we think and learn what rating this get on our review. All right, let me pull up the document real quick on how our reviews work, because it's been a very, 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 very long time since we did a review, to be honest.
It has been. Like,
so very long. How long is it? What would you say our last review was?
It's been almost like probably 9 months to a year.
Damn, man, that's fucking crazy. That's actually insane, because I think you're right.
No, we reviewed the Demon Slayer movie, right?
Yeah. Okay, no, so when was that?
Sheesh. That came out April 23rd, so April.
Interesting. So April, we reviewed the Demon Slayer movie. That's wild. Since we did a review. Now, this podcast is known for our reviews, so let me give you a rundown of how our reviews work. So we have a quote-unquote patented Mic Check Waifu review scale. The way that review scale works is we break up an anime that we're reviewing down to 5 categories that each host, Polo and Tel, we give a 20-point scale score to. So, for example, the way it works is we have the 5 categories being animation, sound design, pacing, plot, and characters. Each one of us is going to give a score based off of our thoughts and our opinions of what we thought of each particular category. And then we average each score at the end to then get an overall score that we add together to give our Mic Check Waifu official scale. So for instance, if Tel gives something straight 7s, his overall score is 7. And if I give something straight 8s and my overall score is just 8, then we take those averages, combine them together and make a 7.5, which means that anime overall at Mic Check Waifu scale is an 7.5. So with that being said, let's get into the review of Tokyo Revengers. But first, what are your overall thoughts of season 1 of Tokyo Revengers?
I think that the anime is really good. Coming into it initially, there's a lot of hype around it to me, and it didn't necessarily hit home for me. It was kind of a little bit more disappointing in the beginning, but there are characters and moments I really enjoy in the show, and it really picked up towards the end for me. Oh,
interesting. For me, I came in knowing nothing about it. I saw zero interest from our Twitter at Mic Check Waifu. I saw zero interest on my personal Twitter at Polo Born Fly. I just think that when I saw it and the way that first episode ended was a nice shock to me, right? Because I went into it knowing nothing about it. I went into it not knowing what the hell it was about, what was going on. I just knew that it was this dude living a terrible life. I'm like, okay, this shit seems interesting. Tokyo Revengers, okay. I didn't even read a synopsis for it. I just turned it on and I watched it. And from the moment I met Takemichi, I'm like, oh, this is an interesting character. He was already interesting from moment 1 for me. And then as soon as it started picking up hype on the timeline around like episode 10 is when I saw everybody talking about they read it or read Tokyo Revengers, or everybody became advocates for Tokyo Revengers for some reason, which is cool. But it was at that point where, you know, it kind of, everything I saw had me like, okay, it's cool. But then watching it, it just became more and more predicated on cliffhangers. And that was where my disappointment lied. Like, it spent its time kind of working to the cliffhanger to then wrap up that cliffhanger in the first 4 minutes of the episode to then leave you with another cliffhanger after they spent a lot of time talking. So that to me was slightly annoying, but I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah. So with that being said, let's get started with the review of Tokyo Revengers. Now, the first thing we're going to discuss in this review is animation. So animation consists of art style, visuals, direction, scenery, and overall viewing experience. These are our personal opinions, and Tell, if you don't mind starting.
I thought the animation was good. It wasn't bad. I would say it was probably like slightly above average. So I'm giving it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, damn, that was quick. Okay. 7.5, huh?
Yeah, I didn't think it did anything necessarily shocking. There were moments where it felt better, but then there's moments it was just like, it's okay.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. For me, I think the animation was probably the worst part about the show. There were so many inconsistencies with the animation, like like Takamichi becoming super thick out of nowhere during that bloody Halloween. I think that it was like something was up with, like I said, the consistency with the animation. Some parts were beautifully animated, like whenever he was going back and forth between time. I thought it looked gorgeous. I thought that I did think that it could have used just a little bit more like what's the word I'm looking? Smoothness. What is animation?
Fluidity.
Yeah, fluidity. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Fluidity. Because some fights looked extremely smooth and a lot of fights didn't. But what Tokyo Revengers relied on like its one hit moments, like Mikey swinging his leg for a kick or Draken throwing a punch. But then when
knocking through a wall.
Yeah. But when it was an actual fight time, like multiple punches or kicks being thrown, it didn't hold up. So for me, I think the animation was a 6.5. I think that was the worst part about the show, to be honest.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we move on to the next category, which is sound design. Sound design consists of soundtrack, composition, sound effects, and how well it tied in with the visuals. And I'll start off with this one. Sound design was I did enjoy the music whenever it would come on. That shit was dope. I did like that. But I don't remember any other pieces of the music or the soundtrack at all. So I can't really speak to that. But the punches and the kicks and the motorcycles and that shit sounded great to me. I thought that shit sounded actually amazing because it fits so well for every situation that it was put in. So for me, the sound design gets a 7.5.
So I agree with you for the most part. Like, there was none of it was specifically memorable.
Right.
Voice acting, I feel like a lot of it was on point. The soundtrack was on point. Like how like the vehicle sound, like when Mikey's brother got hit with the bat in the head and they kind of made that sound ring. That was one of the more impressive parts for me in terms of sound design.
Yeah. I think it was like a wrench, by the way, so even worse than the bat.
Yeah, it was a wrench, my bad. But when he got hit in the head, you kind of hear like that sound.
Yeah, and you knew he was dead like from that moment.
Off impact, bro. It was crazy. But yeah. I gave the sound design a 7 out of 10. I thought it was good. It was average, not amazing, but it gets I think better than it's a passing.
That's interesting. So you thought the animation was better than the sound design?
For certain parts, it depends because there was parts that was like choppy, but the animation, I think it was just more consistent. Like it wasn't ever amazing, but it was never like truly bad, like how we saw with like Demon Lord Retry or with like Black Clover and
Right,
how
right.
his face just his whole body would disappear or miss entire frames. It
Yeah,
was never that bad.
I see. Uh, next up is going to be pacing. So pacing is episode to episode strength, the continuity, how well the story developed and unfolded as the series went on. So, talk to me about pacing. What did you think?
All right. So for pacing, like I said, I think that the first episode I thought was actually pretty good, like how Polo said. But there's a lot of like picking up it had to do in the beginning where I felt like the beginning wasn't as impactful to me. It didn't really get. I feel like it was a little bit more impactful when Mikey was introduced, which was like what, episode 3 or 2, and then like it kind of wasn't very like high impact for a while. It relied heavily on those cliffhangers, like Polo said, and then the ending part to me, like the latter end, I would say probably like what was it, like episode 14 or 15 to like 25 at that point, I think is where it started to get a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
I gave the pacing a 7 out of 10.
Interesting, bro. I thought the opposite. I thought the pacing as it went further on got worse because they felt the need to try to cliffhanger us. They were so they were so pressed on building that wow moment for people to talk about it on social media that they forgot that they had the rest of the show to do, right? Like everything built up to the cliffhanger, and then the next episode was the start of the cliffhanger for it to build up to another cliffhanger. So for me, I would say around episode 12 to 13 ish, it became more so 6 minutes of reviewing the cliffhangers or continuing the cliffhangers to then going back to the moment to moment stuff and then falling off. What's crazy is like our review scale sits so different, right? As I do think the animation was the worst part of the show. Okay, so I gave it a 6.5. I don't know where I feel with the pacing because I was actually okay with it. Like it pissed me off sometimes, right? But it didn't bother me enough to where I didn't enjoy it. See what I'm saying?
Because a cliffhanger is a story element. It doesn't necessarily mean the pacing was bad. It just means that you didn't like that specific usage of that story element. They could have given you more detail and you would have been cool with it.
Exactly. So that's why when I read the pacing, the episode to episode strength, it was from episode to episode, the strength of it was pretty good because it always gave us information that was valiant, but I didn't like the cliffhanger part of it. So that goes into the next portion of this review. But for pacing, I'm definitely going to go with it's a 20-point scale. I gave animation 6.5. I want to give this a 6.5 as well. I'm going to do it. I did it. 6.5.
I ain't mad at it.
Next up will be plot. So plot is the overall story, how well it was written, how well the story was, how well the story resonated with us as the viewer. So for me, the plot was probably the saving grace of this because it always had me wanting to know what will happen next. The story of Takemichi going back in time and why still is unknown, but it doesn't bother me. I love the fact that we have this situation. It feels unique enough to where it's something that you just want to be along for the ride for. I think, fuck man, was that cliffhanger part a detriment to the story for me? If you think about it, when you go back to watch it all the way through, do you think that will be like a binge situation? Do you think that'll be a major?
The cliffhanger does not change the story for me. I feel like how I'm looking at the plot, the cliffhanger stuff does not have anything to do with that.
I think it's true.
A story element that I just think is overutilized. Like if you read a book and every chapter ends on this cliffhanger, you're gonna be like, why am I reading this book?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think I put that in the pacing. So I do think the story was phenomenal though. I love the character. Oh, well, we'll get to that later, but I love the character development with the story, right? Like, because the story started off crazy. Fucking Takemichi get back there. Their whole group of people get their ass beat. and it just goes from there. Yeah, man, this story is great. I do think I'm gonna get a story an 8. A solid 8.
Okay. Well, I mean, she's just gonna make me feel like my score is a little bad.
What do you think about the story, Montel?
I thought the plot was one of the higher ends of this entire anime. I don't think it's the best part of the anime, but I definitely think it was one of the higher ends of the anime. I think that the whole idea of what happens with Takemichi, how he has to approach situations because he's not this super overpowered character. How he has to approach situation and try and fix said situations. He has no fighting ability, and he just has to have straight willpower and straight like tenacity to get through to the next day and try and save like all his friends and his loved ones basically. And we're finding out bit by bit in all these different portions on like why things are happening the way they do. And we even started reading the manga. In the manga, we find out more information on why things happen the way they do. It's just a lot of it, in my opinion, is just really well organized in terms of the story itself. I gave the plot a 9 out of 10.
Wow, a whole 9. Yeah, it was that good, so I can't even judge that. Next up will be the characters. Characters retain to relatability, overall development and growth of the characters, and how memorable these characters were. Shit. Did I say the plot was the best thing about this show for me?
Because it was all cap. I start this part. This is my part.
Okay,
I get to start this because you started plot.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the characters were 100% the best part of this anime. 100%. I think this anime is so character centric because everything is a developmental moment for the characters. We find out so much from going back in the past and back in the future about every character that Takemichi interacts with and how their situations develop. The characters you're supposed to love, you love. The characters you're supposed to hate, you hate. The characters that you feel ambiguous about and you're not sure about, they kind of give you a reason to feel ambiguous about them, and then you get a moment to hate them or love them.
Yes.
You can pick a fence with any of these characters. I feel like there are very few characters that are not rememberable. Like, I feel like so many characters in this anime, you can put a face to them.
Yes.
You can put a name to them. You look at Hama and you're like, yo, I hate Hama so much. I hate Kizuki Teta so much. Draken is a god. Mikey's a god. Mitsuya is dope. There's just so many characters. Naoto is mad reliable.
Yes.
You know, every character in this anime, you see them and you're just like, I mean, I kind of relate to them. And our main character at that, the reason people hate Takemichi is so weird to me. It's because his character is so realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go back to middle school / high school and you're fighting big ass about to graduate high schoolers or people with super good hands, like they've been fighting all their lives.
Facts.
And you don't have these hands. You don't have this potential.
Right.
These people knew they was coming out to be like reckless. And Takemichi's like, how am I going to save the world without the capabilities they have? I just think he was a super good character, and a lot of anime community didn't deserve him. And y'all still don't deserve him. I think the character selection was a 10 out of 10. I'm sorry.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, characters was, I know I said story was the best part, but the character's definitely the best part. Everything that Tell spoke on was everything I was going to say, so he got lucky with getting this first, because he's absolutely fucking right about the characters being like characters that you definitely remember, and the characters like you said, the characters you're supposed to hate, you fucking hate them. Everybody talk about how much they hate Kizuki. Everybody talk about how much they love Draken. Everybody fucking talks about how much they love Baji. Like, you were supposed to. It was, I guess it goes with the plot, but it was so well written that you didn't have a choice but to feel those strong emotions to the point where you wanted to have I don't know, hate against Takemichi, which that is still the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen in my life.
Ridiculous.
Because that's, you seen from episode 1 the point of his character. The point of his character is not to be the hero that is going to beat everybody ass. It's to be the hero that solves it by being him. That's a crybaby. That's a crybaby boy with heart. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this story is about. That's what the characters is about. And the fact that characters in the show around him realize that is an incredible feat. I think these characters are fucking awesome. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. The only reason why I'm not giving it a 10 is because I don't think I think what they did to Takemichi's friends was kind of like it just upset me a little bit. They kind of got thrown to the wayside when they were there from like day one, which is cool. That's the only reason why it's not a 10 though, because their friends should have more time to shine as well. And damn, with that wraps the review for Tokyo Revengers. Now, this may seem crazy, but let me go over what we got here and give you the averages. Now, starting off with animation, Polo gave it a 6.5, Tail gave it a 7.5. Sound design, Polo gave it a 7.5, Tail gave it a 7. Pacing, Polo gave it a 6.5, Tail gave it a 7. Plot, Polo gave it an 8, Tail gave it a 9. Characters, Polo gave it a 9.5, Tail gave it a 10. For Polo's overall score, he gave it a 7.6. For Tail's overall score, he gave it an 8.1. The overall score for My Check Waifu Tokyo Revengers official review is 7.85. 7.85 for Tokyo Revengers. Now, if you're wondering, where is that? Holy shit. It's so low. It's so low. You would have thought we didn't enjoy it. That's fucking wild. Wow. A lot of bullshit. A lot of bullshit. Okay. I'm adding Tokyo Revengers to the list of stuff that we reviewed. A lot of people not gonna be happy with this review. I know it, and I'm sure we just got a bunch of new listeners. So Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers is a 7.85. This is everything that we reviewed so far. We reviewed 21 shows, starting off from number 21. The show 91 Days got a 6.4. The show Banana Fish at number 20 got a 7.3. At number 19, Dr. Stone, 7.8. Tokyo Revengers, just above Dr. Stone, which is fucking weird, is a 7.85. Interesting stuff. My Hero Academia Season 4 got a 7.9. What the fuck were we thinking?
What the fuck were we thinking?
Number 16, Gangsta at a 7.95. Number 15, Chivalry of a Failed Knight at a 7.95. Number 14, Bungo Stray Dogs with an 8.4. Number 13 in American anime, Invincible, 8.45. Number 12, Darwin's Game, 8.5. Number 11, Made in Abyss, 8.5. That was a co-review that we did with Blind Anime Podcast, so shout out to them. Steins Gate, 8.65. Erased, 8.75. Beastars, 8.85. Fucking crazy. Demon Slayer, 8.8. Vinland Saga, 9.25. Grimgar, A Fantasy in the Ash, 9.3. Promised Neverland. Fire Force, 9.35. We got to review Promised Neverland Season 2 just so we can bring down the Promised Neverland average down from 9.3.
For sure, because it's going to go straight to doo-doo.
It's going to go straight to doo-doo. Fire Force got a 9.35. The My Teen Romantic Comedy series got a 9.45. And Clannad is our number 1 reviewed anime is our number 2 reviewed anime at 9.8. Our number 1 reviewed anime is actually Astra Lost in Space at a perfect 10. I don't know why that's not in the list. We tripping. So we got to make sure we add that to the list. Now let's talk about this review. Let's dissect this a little bit, okay? It's mostly my fault that the average is down low because it's fucking crazy because I stand by it. Like I stand by the pacing and I stand by the animation. 100%.
My scores weren't too different, you know.
Yeah, they weren't actually. Now that I think about it, 7.5, 7, 7, 9, 10 for you. But what's crazy is that, like, this show is way better than the other shows we reviewed. But objectively speaking, when it comes to those categories, the lows are low, in my opinion. You know, like animation is low to me. I don't think it's good. Pacing, I think it could use a lot of work. 100% with the pacing. Sound design was great. 7.5 is good, not great. Plot is great at an 8. And then the characters 9.5. Like, I think this review stands. Like, I think my 7.6 stands, you know. I just kind of feel bad that it's fucking below so many shows that I just find it so much better than. Now, or hear me out.
Okay, I hear you.
Maybe this goes straight to the fact that people just really overhyped it. And
here's the thing, though, is that I do think I thought it was hyped for me. I don't know how much hype it received for you.
It was good. It was good. It was definitely good.
It received a lot of hype to me. I didn't think it was the worst thing, but I just think that there was other stuff we watched during these 2 seasons that hit either better or just like edged it out just slightly better, you know?
Yes. Everything. Yes, man. I don't know why I'm feeling bad about my review, bro.
Nah, you shouldn't, bro.
Yeah, I think it's a legit review. I just think it's looking at our list, right? It's better than. No, maybe it's not.
It's not. We put it in a good place.
Is it better than Gangsta?
I think that there are elements to Gangsta that makes it better, right? Like, I think the reason My Hero or Gangsta are rated higher is probably because animation might have been better.
Yes. Okay.
Probably a little bit better sound design.
Yes.
Pacing might have just been just as bad.
Yeah.
You know, plot was probably not as good at all. I don't think the plot of Gangsta was. I think the plot of Gangsta was okay, but it wasn't as good. And the characters for Gangsta were very enjoyable.
Was the best part, to be honest.
So I think that it's probably reasonable that it's around there. I think also for, like I said, My Hero, we like the characters a little bit. They're not very good characters, but the animation was better than Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah.
Sound design was better. Season 4 sound design was definitely better than Tokyo Revengers sound design.
Yeah.
Pacing was ass.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, terrible. I think we both gave like bad. 6s or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That's what brought that season down.
Yeah,
and
true.
The plot was understandable. It was just that pacing is what felt like it was dragging the plot down.
Oh, valid. So valid. Everything you said is valid. Okay, thank you for being my therapist, Tel. I appreciate you so much, bro.
I'm your brother.
I do. I appreciate it. I feel bad about that because I'm seeing like it's like Darwin's Game is above it. I think Tokyo Revengers is better than Darwin's Game.
I mean, but that's an opinion-based thing, you know?
That's true.
Our reviews are meant to be a little bit more objective
and scientific, I guess, if you will.
We not claiming we 100% right, but we're trying to be like when you start looking at it and you break down like the frame rates of stuff and all that kind of stuff. If we really wanted to get super analytical, we could, but we're not doing that. What we're doing is
our personal opinion on it, and it's like an objectively scientific way.
It is our opinion. Like I think Tokyo Revengers is probably better than a lot of stuff on our list. I would put Tokyo Revengers above Beastars personally.
Yes.
But also really enjoyed Beastars, and I think that my opinion on the animation of Beastars, I'm thinking about like what the work is to do that, and you're thinking like I don't like the way it looks in general, right?
Ass.
So like we see that differently versus like how we look at Tokyo Revengers. We look at Tokyo Revengers almost identically, except for the fact that, you know, my point scale is a little bit higher on some things and a little bit, and I think I only had one thing lower than yours.
Right.
So it was like realistically our scaling is not very off.
You're right.
It's pretty consistent for these things.
That's a fact. That's a fact for sure. All right, man. Well, that'll be the wrap for the review of Tokyo Revengers. Next up, we will get to know Mic Check Waifu. I think it's my turn to roll a random number generator.
It is. We got 65 of them things.
This is the part of the show where you get to know us as hosts. Now, we have a list full of questions, and we roll a random number generator, and then we read the question associated with that number so you can get to know us a little bit better. And the number I rolled is 29. The age I am right now.
Question number 29, the age I am right now. You get to have one waifu. Who do you choose?
Miku. from Quintessential Quintuplets.
Kirisu.
From Steins Gate. Easy. Oh, yeah, that's easy. So easy.
Super easy. You know what was funny?
What's up?
My wife asked me who was like my favorite waifu, and she was like, I bet you she's thick and she got really big breasts, really big boobs.
Opposite. Total
blah,
opposite.
blah, blah. And I was like, first of all, ma'am, let me show you. And she's like, you like her? I was like, I mean, physically, she's about as thick as a toothpick, but she's smart.
Yeah, it's never
And
been.
that's what I love.
So that's what. Okay, let's talk about that. Nah, maybe we should say that for another episode.
Another episode.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
No, we'll get you a main point out. Just say a main point.
Our another thing we're gonna talk about in another episode is our definition of waifu. I want people to understand what we think of waifus, because I don't think of waifus as being I want to date her. You know what I'm saying? I think of it as like just the best girl, like the most, you know, whatever we feel the best girl is. Like,
if I did want to date an anime character, her intelligence 100% is something I would be like,
You'll be
top of my list.
You'll be about, yeah, and that's cool too. Like, that's cool too. I don't look at it like that though. I just look at their personality and what I feel like makes them so much like. I just think she's the best, adorable, I guess, if it lack of a better word, right?
100%.
We'll talk about that on another episode where we dissect that and go a little bit more into detail on waifus, because that'll be a fun episode. Now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from this break, we're going to spoil the last episode of My Hero. We're going to spoil the last episode of Remake Our Life. And that'll be a wrap of this episode, because I'm a little bit tired.
Yeah, we both tired, bro.
It's 1 a.m. for the time you're hearing this, because we did the Mic Check Waifu Antagonist Spaces. It was fun. It was worth it.
So good.
So good. So check that out on Patreon, patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu. Thank you. We'll be right back after this break.
I'm meant to ride this ocean, traveling in slow motion, paddling with no question, early morning with the sun, not yet burning, innocent. I try to be a good son, myself 100%. I feel it inside. I wanna reach that. It's somewhere inside. I wish I reached that. Skyline, skyline. I wanna reach that skyline. Skyline. I wish I reached that skyline. Skyline, I'm gonna reach that skyline. Skyline. Endless troubles to go through. They're strewn in the city. Daily struggle to be true. Betrayed authenticity. Poison all around, but still I will take another round or another ride until we take off from the ground. I feel it inside. I wanna reach that. It's somewhere inside. I wish I reached that. Reach that skyline. Skyline. I wanna reach that skyline. Skyline. I wish I reached that skyline. Skyline. I wanna reach that skyline.
Inside, I see a skyline. Inside, I see a skyline. Inside, I see a skyline. Inside, I see a skyline. Inside, I see a skyline. Inside, I see a skyline. Inside, I see a skyline. Inside.
And welcome back to episode 119 of Mic Check Waifu. Make sure y'all follow us on Twitter at Mic Check Waifu, and on Twitter at King Teliano, and on Twitter at Polo Born Fly. We are going to spoil the last season 5 episode of My Hero Academia. If y'all remember last week, I talked about My Hero, and I talked about the season as a whole. I stand by everything I said. I do think this season is probably the weakest, even though it had one of my favorite moments, and that's the Todoroki like little arc thing.
Really?
I enjoyed that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that way more than I think I should have.
I think here's the issue is that My Hero Academia, I'm not sure what's going on, but they're experiencing a decline. And I'm not sure if it's just because like the value and hype of this series has dropped off, because obviously the manga is doing amazing. Like people are loving the manga,
right?
But the anime for me is just like, it's mad decent. And I have seen a lot of love for Shigaraki specifically, because they love that moment where his hair turned white and he had his like epiphany moment where he was like, I just want to destroy shit. People would just love that. They thought they was like loving how his character developed. And I was like, I'm done hyping this shit.
Damn.
Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I say I'm done hyping it only for the fact that like I watched or read this manga and I have been reading it consistently, and I love the manga so much. I feel like the manga is just hitting super hard. I had like the last chapter before the one that came out today, gold. I even made a post mocking how people talk about Deku, talking about some, oh, look at Deku, he's super weak and he's just sleeping in the chair when everybody else is doing hero stuff. They talk about how weak and how.
Are we spoiling shit right now?
Nah, like this is
okay.
It's not really a spoiler. He sleeps in a chair once. That's not a spoiler. People sleep. But the idea that Deku's a weak character because he cries, that's played. But I will also say I just 100% think the manga's pacing is just better, and it might just be because we can imagine it better than what is actually getting animated. I'm not sure what it is. I gotta break that down psychologically one day. But right now, yeah, I'm not hyping this anime anymore, man. I'm gonna let it ride and I'm gonna roll with the punches.
Yeah, what's sad is that I feel sorry for the people like me, right? The people that watched it and didn't read it. Because and I know I have to, because I did make the promise that after this season I was gonna read it, but I just don't know if I'm gonna read it anytime soon. I'm just not in the mood. I'm not in the mood for any more My Hero right now. I think I need a break from it. It truly, and I know a lot of people that listen to us love My Hero, and My Hero is good, but I can't rock with it after this season. For a little bit, just give me a break. Just give me a break from My Hero. I need a break. I wish I would have, I don't know, picked it up after season 2 and was reading when I like became a manga reader then. Because now I'm not in the mood to read it. I don't care enough right now to do that, because I don't think it's worth the effort. Even though I guarantee you it probably is, because it'll probably, and I will probably enjoy that more than what I'm getting from the show. But after the show, I just can't do it. This episode was just about them showing off their powers, basically. Recapping about Shigaraki becoming, a devastator now. We just gonna live the way we want kind of shit. It's a lot better play than his let's destroy the world bullshit he was screaming earlier in this his little arc. But I don't care about him at all. The white hair thing was not a Kaneki moment in the anime. Like, it wasn't that fucking powerful, to be honest.
You're right as hell. It was not a Kaneki moment at all. Because Kaneki was a different kind of monster.
Yeah, and everybody knows, like, the Tokyo Ghoul anime sucked dick too. But still, that moment was still so good that nothing can compare to it when it comes to like character transformations. The Shigaraki shit was like
B tier, C tier.
facts, man, facts. That's exactly where it was. So,
But in the manga, it just hit so different.
I
And
bet.
that's why I said I'm not hyping this shit no more. I'm not hyping it anymore.
was there? The only thing I liked about this episode, we still didn't get you say run, so I'm still pissed off about that. All season, the entire
Sound design
season,
trash. This whole season.
this whole season. But I did like when Deku was showing off what he learned. That shit touched me a little bit. I'm like, yeah, hell
Because
yeah.
it was from that first time we saw that like quirk ability
Mhm.
to like now he can control it. And then they give that little reveal that the next one you gotta learn now is float.
Yeah, and that's basically flight. That's dope. That's
Mhm.
dope as fuck. I like that. And that was about it. I'm like, okay. When it was over, usually I would have like if this was the old me when I was so into My Hero when I was watching it. If this was the old me, I would be like so pissed off that it ended this way. But because of the trauma I suffered from season 4, I'm like, I don't care. It's whatever.
You and I both.
It's whatever. Like whatever, dude. And I know a lot of y'all that listen to us like My Hero, but I can't fuck with it.
I love My Hero, but the manga. I'm not doing this again.
All right. Well, what's next? Remake Our Life, bro. Fuck.
Yo, I really want to do a review for remake Our Life.
We are. Let's do it.
I'm just gonna say this 100%, and this is just a personal review. This is before me getting super.
No, don't
analytical.
do it. Don't do it. We're gonna review
Top
it,
of
bro.
the head, 100%. Watch this.
100% watch this. 100%. I do want to go like fully into it soon, like maybe in the next couple of weeks for sure. You down with that?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
We can't forget. We got to do a review for this.
100%. I'm 100% with that.
Okay.
All right. The last
Is it
episode,
being
bro.
dubbed?
Ooh, good question, bro. It is, I think. I think it is.
Because if it's being dubbed, we'll just wait for it to finish the dub, and we'll.
Oh, that's
If
brilliant.
the dub is good too, oh my god, if they do good voice actors. I'm telling you now.
Spitting, bro. I don't see anything about a dub. Fuck.
Oh,
All right, we'll figure that out. We'll talk about that off the air. Shit, man, it's so good. It's okay. The last episode where we picked up, full spoilers, where we picked up was he was talking about going back in time. He was about to go back in time, but then he remembered, well, wait, let me say goodbye first.
that's bullshit.
Yeah, man, and this is where it kind of killed me.
As soon as he said that, I knew what it was, though. Right?
Yep.
Like, who else would he say goodbye to? Because there's only one person that like he knows if he goes back in time, there's no guarantee he's gonna see.
Yep.
And it was
Maki.
like the fact that he has a daughter.
Oh, she's so cute, man. I love her so much.
Adorable. I hope that he does right and he goes back to her.
Yes, bro. Please, man. Please do not go to Kasugawa. Like, I like her fine. She's fine. But she is not it. Shinoaki is it, bro.
I support polygamy in this.
I support a harem.
If you go with that, he better go ahead and get both of them because I can't not have Shinoaki be the GOAT.
She was just so wonderful, bro. As a wife,
amazing.
Oh.
And then her when she said that whole moment they gave us when she started drawing again.
Oh,
Like
bro.
she said something in me when I got the itch and I just started drawing and just came back to me, and then she started tearing up saying like just so many memories that started coming
It
back.
was so good.
And
I'm
I
about to
was
cry,
like,
bro.
It's so good. It's so good.
Dude, I'm my eyes are watering just from thinking about how powerful that moment was, bro. And then they were in the bed together, and she was just and she was talking, and then as she was talking, she was welling up again, but not crying just yet, just welling up. And I'm like, this girl is so strong and just so amazing. She's just an amazing person, and that's gonna be rare. Like back then, she was the one. Like, yo, I'm gonna make a move. She made a move, bro. And she deserved to be where she was in that future, minus the fact that she wasn't drawn. Oh,
I mean, if that's the life she wanted, But like, I agree. Her character herself was super strong. I thought it was really cool that he bumped into the girl from the future, the blonde hair girl.
Yes, dude.
I thought that was super dope.
You're killing me,
and that's
Joe.
what inspired him. He was like, I gotta do something. I can't sit here and just like mope and shit anymore. I gotta make a
Yes.
move.
You're kicking it, man.
And he goes and he make his move and he like, boom. I'm gonna try and get you some inspiration. And it looked like he kind of worked with both of them side by side to get that inspiration back. And he told what's her name, Nanako. No, I'm not helping you.
Oh,
You got to do it yourself. And I was like, come, you talking, bro.
Yes,
You
tell
letting
him.
them know. You letting them know. Like this is what you got to do. Like he knows what he has to do. He can still help.
100%.
But he can't take full responsibility for it.
Yes.
What you do when you take full responsibility for someone like that is you neuter them. You clip their wings. They can't fly without you anymore. And that's how they felt.
Yes.
They felt like they couldn't develop. They couldn't be better because he did everything.
He was their crutch, bro. He was their kickstand. He was the butter to their pancakes, and he couldn't do that. Like, he couldn't support them to the point where they didn't want to support themselves, because the future that he ended up with was the future that he got, which was for him disappointing because of he cares more about his friends. And I love that future for him, bro.
And the coolest part is that you kind of get the feeling that he doesn't mind being the crutch, right?
Yes.
And what I mean by he doesn't mind being the crutch is that he only wants to be the crutch when they actually need it, not in something that they can actually overcome themselves, right? Like, he knows what they can do. He knows what they're capable of.
Yes.
If Shinoaki came to him and talked about how am I going to put this in a video, yeah, he's probably going to help her with how to put it in a video because she's an artist. She draws, right? If what's his name, Taki Tsuruyaki comes to him and is like, I need to write this story. He's not about to write a story for you, bro. That's your thing. You literally are the master of that. In the future, you're the Platinum Generation best writer.
Yeah, right.
So he's not doing that for you, bro. If you come to him and is like, how we doing this other stuff? Yes, he'll figure it out. And that's what made me also realize the first thing he did in that beginning wasn't actually as bad, like we talked about. Yeah. When they got the wrong camera and he made like the still picture frame video, that wasn't bad because he wasn't clipping their wings then. That wasn't something they were good at. That was something he could have taken the reins on. But when it came to like that game and he took the reins so heavily, he did. And now he's learning from that. He's giving them that chance to realize that, yeah, he kind of domineered that moment. Right. But you also have a time and a chance to become better and grow from it as well.
What this show mainly consists of is helping us understand, which is crazy because I got a life lesson from it, helping us understand the importance of balance. Just balance, bro. You gotta balance. Helping with controlling, and it's a powerful situation. Message. It's a powerful situation to be in, and I think Remake Our Life is one of the great slice of lives. I think it's in my top 5 slice of life for real of all time.
So my top 2, not including movies.
Yeah, thank God that this is getting a season 2. They haven't officially announced it.
They haven't announced it yet, but they got to.
It's coming.
They got to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So the remake of My Life is just beginning was the last thing that he said, and that's the last thing we're gonna end you with 119 and Mic Check Waifu. Take it away.
So we just finished talking about Remake Our Life. Let us know if you think about that season 2, and are y'all ready for Remake Our Life? Come back in a couple of weeks and see what we do with that. My Hero Academia season 5. Was Shigaraki's transformation as good as everyone thought it was? I don't know, bro. It was okay. Or broette. Or sis. All right. On our break, we had some awesome music curated by our DJ and host Polo Born Fly. And we also got to know Mic Check Waifu. And if you could choose one Wi-Fi, who would it be? Also, we did a Tokyo Avengers review, and we gave Tokyo Avengers 7.85 out of 10. Me with the 8.1, and Polo with the what did you guys? 7.6. 7.6. All right. Also, thoughts on the fall comeback season? Is it a comeback season, or is this fall actually gonna be good with all the new stuff coming back? Which standout anime finale did you get from this season finale? And then thanks for coming to Antagonist, everybody. We really appreciate y'all coming through. That was a really good recording, a really long time. Come back next week. 10:25, 10:30 p.m. CST on Sunday. And that's for episode 119 of Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Yeah, we still working out the kinks out of Mic Check Waifu Antagonist. Thank y'all so much for showing up. It was about 30 of y'all at one point. So we thank y'all so much for supporting us with that. But as always, I am at Polo Born Fly on all social media.
I'm at King Telliano on all social media.
You can follow our social media is at Mic Check Waifu on Twitter and at Mic Check Waifu on Instagram. And as always, Mic Check.
好きなの。予行練習なんて全部嘘。
You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu Waifu.